Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our council meeting of Monday, June the 9th, 2025. On my right, I have Councillor Lior Azarad, Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Oren Sabag, Councillor Mitch Kajavsky, Councillor Dita Burku, I'm Mitchell Brown Senior Mayor, Councillor Stephen Erdely, Councillor Sidney Benizri, Councillor Mike Cohn. We also have our city manager, Jonathan Schechter. We have from Communications Director, Darryl Levine, and we have Florine Abunahue as city clerk. Abunahue, I hope. Okay, great. So Councillor Cohen, we're going to ask to adopt the agenda, removing item 1C and adding, no, before everything. We adopt the agenda, Councillor Cohen, removing item 1C and adding under other business another item with respect to
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Item 7C is removed, and we are adding an item to resiliate a contract at item 15, other business. Correct. Okay, great, good. That's going to be simple. Okay, we're going to count before we start the meeting. Well, we have to do the land acknowledgement and the rules, but before we do that, Councillor Cohen has to do a presentation. You want to
Yes.
do something?
Did we adopt the resolution
Well, it's moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Azarad, all in favor. Okay.
Yes.
Councillor Cohen.
So thank you very much. I just wanted to get my notes out here. I'm very excited to announce that we will have our annual golf classic on August 5th at Meadowbrook. August 12th if it rains. Let's hope it doesn't. We will have our big banquet combined with the revitalized Maison Fleurie, which maybe Councillor Schuster can tell us about in her report, because she came up with a very nice changed idea for it. So we can make that announcement tonight. That'll be at the end of September. But we're very excited. First of all, Norm Goldfield is here from the men's club, and he's basically my co-chair for the event. Norm, give a wave to everybody. Thank you, Norm. And I also want to thank Councillor Burku and Councillor Azarad, who assist the committee as well and work with me. Councillor Burku focusing on the beauty of Meadowbrook, and Councillor Azarad still digging in and trying to get us sponsors. We have with us Philip Maman, who is one of our main sponsors. Mark Zerzer and Haggy Brenner are not here tonight, but they are also our returning sponsors. But most importantly, not that everyone is important, this year's honoree is someone who is very special to so many of us. He is the friendly grocer, the man who walks up and down the aisles and knows everybody's name, and we're very lucky to have him among us. He's been such a supporter of community endeavors. Councillor Kajavsky will remember during COVID how much work he did to help and support our community. When we've had the golf classic, Mo Giabi, who is here in the back, and Mo, by the way, is our MVP. He goes out and does a lot of, he's our caterer, Mo. He is our coordinator. He does it all. And Irene LaHaye, who's not here but watching on video. But last year, Peter actually supplied a lot of the food for our banquet. And this year, he and his wife will be there to enjoy it. He had kosher food, non-kosher food. Peter is very kosher at home, I understand. So first off, what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring Peter up to the podium. Peter is our honoree. Peter, can you step up to the podium, please? And let's have a big hand for Peter. Peter, I wanted to ask you on the microphone, remind us how long you've owned the Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Center IGA for now?
It's been 11 years, and I've been there for 20 years.
Okay.
So I was just thinking, last week on June 5th was my first day in 2005. So it's been 20 years I've been part of this beautiful community.
Well, that's amazing. And Peter, there's no truth to the rumor that you're going to change this store to Steinberg's.
No, I'm not changing to Steinberg's, and I got a lot of heat for that one.
That was my April Fool's blog 2 years ago, and people believed it that Peter Lepari was opening a Steinberg. He was going to, and you know what? It's a great idea, actually. So
thank you, Mike, for that.
So, but Peter, tell us, you've really been, you golf with us every year. You're a really great golfer. But you have one concern about the golf classic you wanted to share with Councillor Kajavsky.
Yes, as the honoree this year, I'd love to win the long drive contest, and it seems like the only way to do that is to have Mr. Kujavsky do something else that day. Because every year he beats. You got her.
Yes, that's going to be the competition to look out for. So, Councillor Kujaski, before we go on, I don't know if you want to say a few words about Peter, because I know you worked very closely with him during the pandemic, and he did a lot of. Maybe you could remind the viewers what Peter did for us during the pandemic.
Peter is a gentleman and a scholar. We've known each other how long now? It's been five years,
Yeah,
five plus years.
It's a little bit longer than that.
So when we approached IGA, we approached both IGAs, but Peter was the first and only to let us in before opening, after closing, to help us go shopping for seniors who were in lockdown at the time. Really, like you offered help to us with your staff and all of it. It was really, it was quite the experience, and I consider you a friend since then. I hope you consider me a friend. We
I
chat at
do
IGA
consider you.
sometimes. Whenever you're very nice to me when I run into you in the store. But no, Peter's great. Peter's wife also. We go way back too. Little less than Peter, but not much. But no, it's been a pleasure knowing you. I hope we continue our friendship for many years.
We will. Thank you.
And thank you so much on behalf of the entire council. We're very lucky to have a community-oriented store in the Côte Saint-Luc shopping center. I know all the people that go there, and my mom goes there all the time. My wife goes all there all the time. Everybody says it's so friendly, and it just feels exactly like the values that we have in our city. It's part of our city, and what makes people feel good is that we have great service there, as we try to do in our city. You do it really well. So keep it up, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come forward as we're going to take a group photo, please. Darrell will take a group photo right on the stage. So come on up. And Mrs. Lapari, we'd like you to join us for the photo if you're not too shy, because Mrs. Lapari is very involved behind the scenes with the grocery store. I've seen her strategizing with Peter down the aisles. Go to the Aquatic and Community Center. Registration, I believe, begins, Norm, when does it begin?
Any day.
Any day now. So let's say by Friday, you could go to the Aquatic Community Center. It is a wonderful day to see the beauty of Meadowbrook. And I want to tell you, Peter Lapari is one fantastic golfer. I'm seeing that. Yeah. Very good. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so we should do the land acknowledgement and the rules, and then we have a couple of videos to show. Okay, so Darrell, you want to set that up? Well, the main one is I don't know if we have a second one.
Justice, devoir du souvenir, liberté culturelle et inclusion sont des valeurs chères à la ville de Côte Saint-Luc. Nombre de nos résidents et leurs descendants ont construit leur vie ici, après avoir fui des situations difficiles ailleurs. Le Canada a été leur refuge. Mais pour les peuples et les communautés autochtones, les politiques gouvernementales au Canada ont créé des injustices. The island of Montreal, where we are meeting today, has a much older name, Chokshage. It was a historic gathering place for many indigenous communities. It was also the site of diplomacy, including the Great Peace of Montreal. Nous remercions la nation Gagnou-Geaga, également connue sous le nom de la nation Mohawk, pour son hospitalité sur un territoire non cédé. We must acknowledge the past, so that we can move forward in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc permet au public de poser des questions lors de ces séances du conseil, en français ou en anglais. Veuillez lire les procédures et les règles de la période de questions à l'arrière de la salle. Enfin, il est interdit d'utiliser un langage violent, offensant ou irrespectueux pour poser une question au maire.
The Côte Saint-Luc City Council allows the public to ask questions at its council meetings, in French or English. Please read the question period procedure and rules at the back of the room or at côtesaintluc.org. Finally, no person may use violent, offensive, or disrespectful language when addressing a question to the mayor.
Thank you. So we're going to start off first. I have a couple of comments, and then we'll show that video. So the first are more on a happy note. We're still doing the play The Wizard of Oz. It's a play that talks about intelligence, courage, compassion, and the ability to, with the help of community and friends, find your way through life. Find your way home through difficult and happy times with family and friends. It's a very uplifting production. We have, I think, 8 more shows, runs till the 15th. I play the wizard, and my brother plays the wizard when I don't. And I say at every show when my brother is in Cast B, when he's on there, I tell this story. So I'm just going to tell it here as well. When I was 7 years old, I went to see the Children's Theater, and I saw my brother on stage, and everybody in the room was so happy, and they were laughing, and my mom and my friend, my relatives, and all these other parents and kids were having a good time. And I thought, when I grow up, I can do that too. So I joined the Children's Theater, and I saw that one of the important things in life is to bring happiness to other people. That's really what started it. And then whatever I did in life followed from there. And when I get to sit in the audience on Cast B days and see my brother playing the wizard, I become that 7-year-old boy again. And it really feels great. And that is really what we try to do in the city of Côte Saint-Luc, is try to bring happiness to people, whether it's through parks and recreation, through doing the best that we can in our customer service, trying to do a good job every day. And that's why I've enjoyed participating since 1990 in this great city. So come see the show. The only way it remains a self-funding program is thanks to the big sponsors. We do have, about $30,000 of lead sponsors, but we also have ticket sales, and that's the only way that we can have it self-funding. And ticket sales are important. So we have 8 more shows. So if you haven't seen the show, please come and tell your friends. It's a really uplifting show. So now, we'll show a video, but I'll just preface the video. And that I sent a letter to Valerie Plante this week as a follow-up to a letter that I had sent her in December, dealing with the situation that's been ongoing in terms of anti-Semitism and lack of safety in our city and beyond our city, particularly since October 7th. And what prefaced the need for a follow-up really was residents were asking, since the Boulder, Colorado attack, where there was Molotov cocktails, and since the 2 deaths in Washington, D.C., residents were asking, what else can we do? So I was thinking there are things that we can do inside the city, and there's things we still need to ask for. We have to remember, I'm not going to repeat what's already in the video, because that would be too much. You're going to hear it in the video, and then I can give any other additional information, but I don't want to repeat what's already there. So why don't you play the video? Thank you. Cette semaine, j'ai envoyé une lettre à la mairesse de Montréal. Je demande des actions urgentes pour répondre aux inquiétudes des Montréalais sur la sécurité. La réalité, c'est que la communauté juive de Montréal ne se sent plus en sécurité. Cette lettre fait suite à celle que j'ai envoyée en décembre dernier. J'y parlais déjà de la montée des incidents violents. In October 2024, in Côte Saint-Luc, an alert public security agent noticed suspicious activity overnight and called in the police, who then discovered Molotov cocktails had been placed next to a synagogue. And not just on any night, but on the Jewish New Year, when thousands of people were preparing to go to synagogue. Arrests were made. We got lucky that night, thanks to the alertness and training of our agent. But the island of Montreal needs more than luck. We need the city of Montreal to take action. In Boulder, Colorado, not so far from home, they were not so lucky. A Molotov cocktail caused serious injury.
Tonight with the new and horrific images after the firebomb attack in Colorado. Americans gathered at a park in Boulder set on fire. They were there to bring attention to the hostages still being held by
Il a
Hamas.
été interpellé. On voit sur des images filmées par des téléphones portables en jean et torse nu 2 bouteilles qui ressemblent à des cocktails Molotov dans la main.
Il faut agir. Les attaques à Boulder, au Colorado, ou le double meurtre de 21 mai à Washington ciblent une activité communautaire juive doivent servir d'alerte. Dans ma lettre à la mairesse Plante, j'ai proposé 4 mesures concrètes que Montréal peut prendre maintenant. Premièrement, interdire le port de masque lors des manifestations. Un masque n'a pas sa place dans une manifestation pacifique. Cacher son visage, c'est souvent pour éviter les conséquences. Parfois, cela mène à des actes violents ou des dommages. Number 2, we need a different policing model, and we need to defend the ability of police to make arrests. Montreal police use the negotiated management model of policing. That model has failed. That model of policing allows protesters to disrupt the peace of a quiet residential neighborhood, as they did on May 27th outside a synagogue. Police continue to put up with a lot of illegal behavior in order to keep the peace, but at deep cost, the cost of the loss of safety by law-abiding Montrealers. There have been examples of people attending protests with signs that say things like, globalize the Intifada, and from the river to the sea. That's not just speech, it's a violent threat to rid the world of Jews, and police should treat it as a violent threat. They shouldn't walk alongside the person holding the sign and then pat themselves on the back because they supervised an event without any violence. On nous dit que la police hésite à agir parce qu'ils ont peur que les tribunaux ne les soutiennent pas. Ils ont peur que la ville soit poursuivie, mais on ne peut pas laisser la peur de les poursuites bloquer nos institutions. La ville doit soutenir ses policiers. Elle doit défendre ses décisions devant les tribunaux. Number 3, Montreal needs to create protective zones around sensitive sites. In Côte Saint-Luc, we passed a bylaw in April 2024 that bans protests within 50 meters of places like schools, synagogues, and community centers. Other cities like Toronto, Ottawa, and Brampton have now done the same. Montréal doit faire de même. Ce type de règlement ne bloque pas les manifestations, mais il empêche le harcèlement, l'intimidation et les blocages. Quatrièmement, augmenter la présence policière visible. En France et en Allemagne, la police protège les institutions juives. L'État reconnaît que la menace est réelle. Les policiers visibles autour des lieux vulnérables, ça du Sud, les attaquants. Ces 4 mesures peuvent aider à ramener l'ordre à Montréal. Si Montréal se dit inclusive, pacifique et pluraliste, elle doit le prouver. Elle doit protéger une communauté qui se sent menacée. In my letter to Mayor Plante, I reminded her that public safety is not an ideological issue. It's a fundamental responsibility of government. Protecting a place of worship is not taking sides in a political conflict. Presenting violence is not silencing debate. And being proactive is not being alarmist. It's being responsible. So following that, I got a call from Jimmy Zubaris from Valerie Plante's office, and he said that he thought the 4 issues that I brought up, he understands the situation. People are concerned, particularly we did have Molotov cocktails in our city. We did get lucky. Things are happening not so far from home, and people want extra security. So he thought that what we could do next, and he would facilitate that, is for us to present to the Security Commission at the agglomeration. I followed up with Christina Smith, who's Vice President of the Security Commission, and we're going to do that. And he also is following up with the police, not at Station 9, but at the higher level to have a meeting with us. And he says they're all good ideas. That's nice. They're all good ideas. So why we're doing this is number one. There's certain things we can do ourselves. What we as a city can do as ourselves is we have to know that you need to call 911. That's why I did the robocall. We need a new generation of VCOPs. We need to work with Federation to make sure that the training that they give their plainclothes security people and ours works together, and we can work together so that there's proper coverage in front of schools and religious institutions. And if somebody sees something suspicious, they call 911, not the mayor and not public security. They call 911 right away. Those are things we can do ourselves. So we're going to have an awareness campaign and try to recruit a younger generation of VCOPs as well. But there's things we can't do, and that's why we're asking others to help us. The bubble zones that have been implemented in other cities already across Canada. There's talk about it, but it's not happening in Montreal. There's no reason why it shouldn't happen. It should happen at the provincial level, the federal level, and the municipal level, so that when the police are coming to a place like where I was at, Beth Halachem, last May 27th, and these people were screaming and yelling the whole night, starting from before it started till past 11 o'clock at night. And whenever there was a quiet moment in the synagogue, all you heard was screaming and yelling, and residents walking by, as you saw that little girl or that gentleman, were unable to live in the quiet residential neighborhood that they could and live their life normally. It's simple, it's clear. So the request is the simple one. In terms of masks, yes, there's a bylaw of masks in the Canadian Constitution that says if you're doing an illegal act, you're not allowed to wear a mask at a protest, but it's too narrow. We need a bylaw that is not just when you're creating a criminal act, because it's always hard for the police to prove. Do they say from the river to the sea, let Palestine be free, let's rid ourselves of Jews? Do the police consider that a criminal act? Although we know it's hate speech, and it is, and will they tell people to take off their masks? No. So they need a bylaw that's clearer, that can be implemented, and it's not good enough for it to be just in Côte Saint-Luc. We have had some issues in Côte Saint-Luc, like at the Cavendish Mall we had protests, but most of the issues are throughout the island of Montreal, and we need that support. In terms of the best thing that we can do, and we're increasing our public security budget, and in our strategic plan, the council unanimously agreed to make safety and security our number one priority for the next 3 to 5 years, which is how long a strategic plan goes for. We need more than that, though. We don't hold guns, right? Even public security doesn't hold guns, so we need police to be present. The only way you're really going to deter somebody from doing a real danger in front of an event or a school or a religious institution is if they see somebody with real force. So we need more police presence. And I think those were the three. Making arrests, more police presence, that's one and the same. And but yeah, that covers it. So those were our requests. We'll keep on working and fighting for it. And we as a community ourselves, we're great. And you should all know, and that's why I said it in the robocall, the level of alert is not higher than it was before. It's not a question of the level of alert being higher. It's a question of us being proactive, so if something happens, we're ready. And if something could potentially happen, like on October 2nd, when the Molotov cocktails were next to Beth Israel, Beth Aaron Synagogue, that we don't just get lucky. I mean, it's good to have public security notice it, but if some people know what a Molotov cocktail looks like, and they walk by on Mackle and they see it, they can report it too. They don't need to wait for public security to notice it. They just have to know what it looks like. It was very visible. It was right on a fence, right there. I mean, it's in the video if you play it back, but it's a picture of the two Molotov cocktails being taken away by the special evidence unit. Very visible. Any resident could identify that and call 911. So there are things we can do, and we'll do them the best we can. So that's the update on that. I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything. No? So we'll take questions. And then if there's any questions on that issue, others, everyone's always free to respond. All of council is always free to respond. So our first questioner is Benita Eisenberg Gold and Fred Gold. Did I get it right? Go for it.
Perfect.
Do it.
So good evening. We are here in response to the public notice posted on May 12, 2025, regarding the proposed extension and facade modifications at 5562 Randall, which is a semi-detached property physically connected to our home, 5560 Randall. We submitted a letter to urban planning outlining several concerns, including structural risks, privacy, and long-term impact on our property. We also requested access to detailed plans to understand the full scope of the proposed work and how it will affect our shared wall and structure. We were told that no documents are available until a project is approved, which leaves us as directly affected homeowners without the information we need to properly assess the risk and implications. Our questions are, what is the purpose of issuing a public notice if residents like us cannot access the plans or meaningfully participate in the review process before approval? And further, is the Planning Advisory Committee aware of the significant damage caused by this same owner during previous unpermitted renovations? And if you allow me a moment, I would like to just share what we experienced. On April 1st, April Fools, we thought it was a joke, my husband came home and our whole living room, dining room wall was filled with cracks, and we have a shared wall with our neighbor, and a piece of the block was out of the wall in our property. This was all done by renovations which were unpermitted, and no one knew what was going on in their house. Despite the serious nature of the damage, our neighbor did not take the matter seriously, nor did they accept any responsibility. Their initial response was to suggest simply putting back the block and painting over the wall. Following engineering assessments, our insurance company has expressed serious concern about the structural risks involved, and the shared wall between our home has been compromised. Despite the severity of the issue, our neighbor failed to inform their own insurance provider and has not cooperated in addressing the damage. As a result, and out of concern for our safety, our insurer has taken the unusual step of covering the cost of the repairs themselves. Before considering approval of this extension, we respectfully ask that the city take into account our neighbors' past negligence, disrespect for following permit guidelines, and their failure to take any responsibility for the damage that has already been caused. We have one final question. Based on the response we received to our initial email outlining these concerns, how can we be assured that the Planning Advisory Committee will thoroughly review each of the specific issues we raised regarding the proposed extension? We need assurances that this project will not cause further damage to our home and clarity on who will be held responsible if it does. Rewarding this kind of conduct with approval for a large and out-of-character extension feels unjust and deeply concerning.
Listen, I'm going to let Councillor Berkeley and Councillor Kajowski, I think, want to respond. I know you are very law-abiding citizens. You're volunteers. You're very well respected. We feel your pain. And you wanted to speak? Yeah, Mitch wanted to speak? Okay, so Councillor Kajowski.
Go quickly. So first of all, I'm sorry for that having happened to you. I remember reviewing it for the first time, being shocked. My parents live in a semi-detached home, so I'm trying to imagine if they woke up and their Mitwayan wall was gone. So I'm sorry for that. I actually was, I won't speak badly of engineering, I won't throw anybody under the bus, but I was, like Councillor Burku, under the impression that with the public notice, you would have access to the information that you had requested. So we're actually in the process of looking into that and clarifying the rules around that, so that there maybe in the future will not be a need for an access to information. If it requires a bylaw modification, I think we're willing to go there, because in my mind, a public notice is a public notice is a public notice. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to apologize. I really do feel for you, and we will take everything under advisement in PAC. We discuss everything, all information that comes our way. We review it carefully. We have professionals and politicians on the committee, so there's opinions and very detailed discussion on everything that's on our agenda. So you can be reassured that that will take everything into account.
So they're going to look into the fact that obviously it's a semi-detached. How do you go further out and up without affecting our shared wall.
Yeah, the most difficult projects are those on semi-detached properties because we have to be very mindful of the attached neighbor. Detached, a renovation, let's say, or modification is, I guess, easier to deal with because there is no directly, there are neighbors obviously on both sides, but no attached neighbor that's truly impacted.
I wanted to add something about our Murray wall. Fred Gould. In our engineer's report, it was a very comprehensive engineer's report of the structural integrity of our house. So they came in the next day and gave us a supporting wall in our house to support our roof.
Yeah, I remember reading.
In that report, it says that one should be put immediately into the 5562, our adjoining neighbor's house. And that has yet to happen. We've had both the fire department and the City of Montreal's elite squad, or whatever they call them, come into the house also and look and been on their side and have seen live wires on the house because that house was really ripped apart by two unauthorized workers. So we're still living in a house that's supposedly somewhat secure, but yet in our engineer's report, it says that a second structure should be supported between the two homes. And that has yet to even happen yet. I don't know who's supposed to, if it's a civil thing or if it's the city of Côte Saint-Luc is supposed to relook at that again. Because when buses and trucks do pass our house, we actually hear crumbling on our wall because there's loose cement in all these cinder blocks and there's actually noise from the bricks.
And just to point out, it's not our engineer, it was the insurance company's engineer, because we'd be happy not to deal with it. So it was a third-party engineer who told us and basically called me the next morning and said, "Madam, based on the information we have, please vacate your house." So it's you know, and they're just really not taking it obviously serious enough.
Yeah, so thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate that. I understand that you sent a letter to the engineering department, but you also brought it here.
Yes.
And I would invite you to file it with the secretary so that the council can take note of your letter. So you file it on the record and the council will have a copy as well. Just give
Perfect,
it-
yeah,
just give
I'll give it to her.
Okay.
Anything else that we could do, or what's
right.
the procedure?
And the other thing is, we're going to follow the procedure. We're going to see what's the next step. I don't know if it's actually going to go back to the PAC or actually we're having a meeting tomorrow night. Okay, so we'll have to take a look at that. But there really are two separate issues. The
Got it.
first being, well, actually three. It's what the city is doing with regard to your mitoyen wall situation. I know you got a permit. I'm not sure that the neighbor's collaborating with your permit. He's not, right? So you're doing all the work?
Our insurance company said they're going to have to send a bailiff to get access to the house.
So that should also be on the record, and that's why I'm happy you came, so
Yep.
that we know that you are doing all the work and the neighbor is not collaborating at all.
Correct.
So he's really not in good standing, let's put it that way. And the second is, of course, the issue of how it's going to affect you. And the third is what we uncovered through this process was that when you asked for the access to information, I thought it was just a technical mistake.
Right.
So I shared the perspective with you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the right thing to do. And we'll see going forward if the city is going to be able to continue to do that. Whenever there's a perspective, I think it should be shared. So that's an issue that I'm going to bring up with the council and with the department. Thank
Great.
you very much.
Could I just add, with the rebuilding of the wall, we're going to need access to their house because they have to go into the basement on both
Right.
sides of the home and rejack the 2 floors to rebuild the cinder block wall. So we're hoping that the city will give us access to their home.
I don't know if the city can do that.
No.
I think our city manager, who is also a very knowledgeable attorney, will be able to tell us if the city is going to be able to intervene in that sense, because it really is a civil matter between you and your neighbor.
Right.
Well, hopefully it won't come to that, and we'll leave it with our insurance hands for now, and we'll update you if necessary.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you very much.
you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Ralph Remock. Welcome.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Just before I ask my question, I just want to give a little context to for the reason asking this question. Many residents on my street, Park Place, have expressed the need for a speed bump. Emails were sent to by many residents, and conversations were held with councilors Cohen, Benizri, and also an officer, Anthony Tsakon of Public Security, who all agreed on the necessity of a speed bump on that street. Many years ago, when the speeding issue was raised, the city felt that a slow-down sign was sufficient. Then, after several additional complaints, they installed a bollard in the summer season, and it was put on the first part of the curve of that street, which is pretty much in front of my house. However, by the end of the summer, this bollard was either damaged or broken. Kids were playing with it, and actually today, on my way home, the bollard was not even there anymore. I don't know what happened to it. It was gone. It is a deterrent during the summer, but we need a lot more than that, because the problem is not during just the summer, it's the winter as well. My car has been hit 3 times. The last time was a total loss. Now, cars can be replaced, but lives cannot. There are hundreds of pedestrians that walk through that pathway every day. Students going to the Cavendish Mall for lunch, and hundreds of cars driving to that on the street, delivery trucks, Amazon, name it. They're all the frequency of the traffic is a lot higher than what it used to be. You know, if I was standing next to my car the day the last accident happened, I could have been killed. My car was literally thrown 2 flights on my staircase. Many of my guests who have come to drop things off have encountered also threatening situations where cars that were just driving by sped, you know, and almost hurt them. A permanent speed bump is a necessity, and there's no reason why this council or some members of this council should object to it. City managers have no valid reason to refuse one unless they don't value life. I was once even told that speed bumps are usually not installed on dead-end streets. However, I saw one installed on Sir Walter Scott. It's also a dead-end street. This street also is not your typical dead-end street because from the start to the end, there's about 150 meters of driving that is done through that route. A few years ago, a life was lost on Cavendish and Kildare, and only then did the city react and did something to secure the space. I ask you, please consider putting a permanent speed bump on that street. Putting something just during the summer helps, but only for the summer. We need it also for the winter because even during, you know, winter seasons when it's slippery, cars drive fast, and you know it's just another tragedy waiting to happen. And I'm sure none of you want this on your conscience. So please,
Councillor Cohen, would you like to speak? I know you spoke to me at length about it, and I happen to agree with your position. So maybe
yeah, I will, and I know
it.
the traffic, the mobility chair will say something as well. But yes, as everyone knows, I walk my district as soon as the weather gets nice and until the snow falls. And even I made an exception in the winter because we had another issue, and I was walking the district talking to people about another issue which we resolved. But Park Place is not an ordinary street. First and foremost, we did do a traffic study. We found that there's over 300 cars using it on a given day. It's a street where a lot of people think that it's not a dead end, so they drive down there, and when they realize they're on a street that's a dead end, they speed up. Mr. Remock has just explained what's happened to his vehicle. We even have it on video. It's a shocking video. I think that it's a compelling case where, very, very simple, we need a speed bump. And as he mentioned, we have an entryway from the 161 bus. So there's countless number of people walking. They generally walk on the street. So I think we're in the business of stopping an accident before it happens. And we have an opportunity to do the right thing here. It doesn't harm anybody putting a speed bump. Some people are reticent for reasons I don't understand. So I think it's the right thing to do. And we've had plenty of experience. The bollards that have been put up, they don't last the season. They get knocked down. Again, I don't know. I spend a lot of time on that street, and I go to Mr. Remock's balcony sometimes, and we talk and we watch and we shrug our shoulders. So that's my comment, Mr.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Councillor Cohen. Councillor Kujawski.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Yes, it's not a matter of doing the right thing. It's a matter of having the proper discussion. So, Mr. Remock, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so we did have this discussion in the traffic committee. I'll be honest. I was originally not in favor because of the dead end, and we had a very detailed discussion about it. Director Chavero, who I see at the back of the room, was involved in the discussion, and we did come to the conclusion in the end that there should be some form of traffic calming on Park Place. I think we agreed to start with a speed pad because that's a much shorter term solution. A longer term would be a permanent speed bump. But unfortunately, we're a little late to the game this year. So what we're going to try is a speed pad, which is a temporarily installed pad. If we need to leave it there for the winter, we can. And then we'll explore other traffic calming, whether it's a permanent speed bump or a combination of a permanent speed bump and additional measures, because clearly there is a problem on the street. For me, the turning point of the discussion was the pedestrian traffic on there, and you're absolutely correct. There's a significant amount of pedestrian traffic. There's the Alex students that are and JPS students that are going through there nonstop, and there are. We proved it with data. We ran, or we had our speed pads down on the street for a couple weeks, so there was an unusually high volume of vehicles that you wouldn't normally see on a dead end. So I have a feeling it was something like the deliveries that you were mentioning.
A lot. And you know, people today walk and text. They're walking and they're
Tell me
crossing
about
the
it.
street.
Oh yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's how many times I've been sitting on my porch and just waving at cars to slow down because I see other kids small like this.
Mr. Remock, I think that's good news. I'm glad to hear that. that's
I'm
good
apologizing
news.
to everybody in this
No, but
meeting,
we
so I
have good news,
apologize
and we're
also for what
gonna
happened to you in your
do.
vehicle.
Traffic committee's made the recommendations, so let's get it done as soon as we can.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, David Torchman. Oh, Sydney wanted to say something? Sure, go ahead, Sydney. Councillor.
No, I'm just-
Mr. Remock.
Mr. Remock.
Ralph, Sydney wants to say something.
No, I just want to say because, look, I was part of the meeting, the last meeting that we have about the traffic committee. I know there is a new name for the traffic.
Mobility.
Mobility.
And I'm happy to hear tonight that there is a proposal, to go with the speed bump because I asked for it to have like a long-term solution there and to have a permanent speed bump, in the street. So I'm happy that
You have your support on council.
something will happen.
It's gonna happen.
Very good.
Great,
So thank you.
Thank you. Great,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, David Torchman,
Almost, Council.
what would you do?
I'm just going to start my timer. Thank you very much. So just a quick reference to your letter, Mr. Mayor. These protesters with Globalize the Antifada and other really violent comments are not just, don't just have violent undertones. There are actual calls to violence, and I think we need to be more forceful in our words, and we need to make sure that from the federal level down that we have more action. So that was just a quick comment on that.
I agree.
My comment on, my question rather, relative to the master plan. The last vote, or the second vote for the master plan was passed. There was a delay due to a need for a traffic study. So twofold question. One, is the traffic study complete and available to the public? And two, what's the plan for the next vote on the master plan?
So that's good. Those are good questions because I asked them of our city manager today. I want to know when we have a date for the presentation to the public of the traffic study, and Associate City Manager Tanya Abramovich said that she spoke with the consultants and they're giving us a few dates, but I didn't exactly know when those dates are. Do you have any further information? But it's going to be imminent. It's coming soon.
The person that she was going to ask today is on vacation, but coming back tomorrow.
Okay. All right. But we are going to be having that presentation to the public very shortly.
So, sorry, that's the presentation on the traffic
Traffic study. Yeah.
And
it will be available to the public. We're going to, I would assume it's available to the public, or what happens with the traffic study? We present it to the public and is it?
Right. Yeah. When the study is complete, and at that point you can make that decision.
Okay. And sorry, and my second question to the final vote on the master plan, what's the plan for that?
We don't have an exact date. I will decide when it goes on the agenda, when I feel that we've done all the proper consultations on all issues. Right now, traffic is the one that's the most of concern to the residents of District 1. So we're going step by step, but we're not there yet.
Okay, thank you.
And District 2, Mr. Mayor.
Well, Councilor Kodak, other
Cabinet.
concerns, we'll get to yours too. All the residents' concerns are important. Okay, listen, what am I going to say? Everybody's concerns are important. Okay, next is Annette Marciano.
Hi,
Welcome.
good evening.
Welcome.
So, thank you. So my question is in regards to what's going on a little bit in the city and affecting Côte Saint-Luc. So one of them is there's a strike going on for STM. I wanted to know how it's affecting the general transportation for us. Personally, I do take the bus sometimes. So I wanted to know how it affects Côte Saint-Luc. The second thing that's going on in the city is all sorts of discussions and some kind of conflict going on with hydro, which are affecting full city. And I wanted to know how it's affecting us in Côte Saint-Luc. And the third question is, Blue Bonnets has been on the table for many, many discussions now. And the last time the question was brought up, or the point was brought up, it was sent over to the city of Montreal. And from the city of Montreal, we were waiting on a response on how we can connect back to the city of Côte Saint-Luc and how it's affecting us. So if we can have 3 questions.
Well, the STM strike, I know that they say, I don't take the bus very often, but I do have family members that do. They say during rush hours, they'll have full service as well as from 11 p.m. till 1 in the morning. That has an effect. That does have an effect on users that are taking it outside of those hours. So hopefully the strike won't last long, but we have to.
There's no updates on negotiations?
No update on that one, except that I know that that's where it's at. They get full service during rush hours and then from 11 till 1. With respect to hydro, I'm not sure. Is there an update? What you wanted to speak about the councillor earlier?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what, Ms. Marciano, you're referring to, but I'll just share. We've had a lot of discussions with hydro in terms of the high-tension power lines, but so far the meetings seem to be positive. So just to mention to everyone, one of the goals of the city was to reduce the number of high-tension power lines or pylons in Côte Saint-Luc. Currently, there are 16 pylons, 16 towers in Côte Saint-Luc. With the new trajectory, it'll be reduced to 9. And this involves kind of diverting the, and I can show a map, but I just don't want to get distracted. But basically, it includes diverting the line behind Bialik and through the grass area and behind the snow dump, sort of in the Côte-Neige NDG area. And that would, in other words, remove the high-tension power line that passes behind Marc Chagall, behind most of District 8. So it's a positive for Côte Saint-Luc. I mean, the only thing that I should mention for transparency is the new pylons will be higher. So we'll have 9. They'll be higher than the current one, so they'll be a bit more visible, but they'll be much less than the 16 that there currently are. I should mention the project will take at least 10 years. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight. They're going to disassemble one side. They're going to put in new pylons. Then they're going to add the wire. Then they're going to do the substation. It's a lengthy process, but from what I'm seeing, it's been moving forward, and I'm happy with the collaboration so far.
So the reason I'm asking, thank you for the response. So the Côte Saint-Luc effect is connected to the general hydro. If you look at Le Devoir, there's been many articles on it. Le Devoir of the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, has made many articles on, they call it the war on hydro. So it's connected to what's going on in the city. So it's important for us to know that it has a bigger plan that's connected to major issues going on
So-
in regards to.
So I have to admit, I didn't read the article, but I will. But I'll just add, we are seeing problems in that right now, the substation that supplies all the power for Côte Saint-Luc, for Hampstead, for anything, the section of Côte-Neige and DG west of Décarie, so pretty much anything west of Décarie, south, let's say south of Jean Talon or south of Hippodrome, and then north of Saint-Jacques, including most of Montreal West, is from a substation that dates back to 1955. So let's just think about that for a moment. My computer is 2 years old. My iPad is maybe 4 or 5 years old. It started to show its age. The substation goes back to 1955, so it's about 80 years old. So the substation is dated. It needs to be updated. When there's a raccoon and it's completely open, when there's a raccoon, an animal gets in, it causes a power outage that affects the entire grid. So it's something that needs to be done. It's going to take some time, but it'll be good for Côte Saint-Luc in the end, and especially as we're encouraging more residents to get electric vehicles and so on. We're encouraging residents also to phase out heating by oil. So it'll be, and using fireplaces, especially, well, on days when there's smog alerts. So what I would say is it's going to be good, but I haven't read the story from Le Devoir, but I will catch up on that.
Yeah, they have it at the library, if you want it, at the Côte Saint-Luc Library. It's a good one to read because it affects.
Okay, I will follow up. Thank you.
And Councillor Sabag wants to speak about blue bonnets.
Yes, thanks. What? No, just at least my opinion in terms of the blue bonnets development. I mean, I could tell you from our end, it looks like it's pretty much stalled. There's no there's really nothing going on besides the 90 modular units that they've put for homeless people. You know, it's one of the things that, you know, there's I believe lack of community engagement around that project. So there's nothing really happening at this point that's going to impact anything related to the Cavendish extension, at least my opinion.
They have set up a site for homeless. Is that what they did?
It's already set up. It's been a while, so I don't know if you passed by there recently.
No.
Pardon me?
Where can we see it?
It's there. It's still.
I don't know.
You know, it's not. I don't think it's operating just yet, but the units are there. They've been. I see some trucks that have been that were there that are no longer there. So I think it's imminent when that is going to happen. So it's on the northeast side of the Blue Bonnet.
So you can see it through the Walmart, or you can see it.
Oh, you could definitely see it at the Walmart for sure. It's right there. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mina Khan.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much for entertaining my question. My question is about Guelph. I find it to be a tad bumpy. When I'm driving, like when I turn from the synagogue going towards my house, there was at one point a sinkhole there a few weeks ago, near like the corner of, I think, the church.
No, Parkhaven.
Yeah, Parkhaven. There was a sinkhole, and then as I drive further down, I find that the street is not of the highest, smoothest caliber, and I was wondering if the city would make it less bump, like make it smooth.
I don't have it in front of me, but I can find it. So maybe give me until tomorrow, and I'll email you.
Absolutely cool.
We have we have a road reconstruction timeline for the next 20 years, believe it or not. I do believe Guelph is on the relative short-term plan of that in the next. Don't quote me on this, but well, I'm on the record. I think it's in the next 3 or 4 years, if I remember correctly, because it is one of the poorer streets, or condition-wise poorer streets in the city. But I know that there are streets right now that are a higher priority than Guelph. Guelph being a higher priority because it's a collector street. So I'll email you tomorrow and give you that information.
Right. But if there's any interim measures that could be done until it gets totally resurfaced, we have to do them. So
Okay,
thank you for your question.
Thank you. And also just want to make a comment that the city's snow removal team is fantastic. I called the city to let them know that I was really happy, but they were very helpful to me. I was snowed in and I didn't know what to do. So then they had like the little snow removal vehicles. The gentleman came, he cleared everything around my car, helped me out a couple of times. So I just want to let you know that your snow removal team, they're kings. They're absolute kings.
Yeah, great Public Works Department. Thank you.
If I may, I did pass on your good words this winter. I passed it on directly to
Yeah, Mom was like,
they know.
tell them snow removal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. My glasses. Mendel Ben Hamou.
Bonjour, Monsieur le maire et tout le conseil de Côte Saint-Luc. Je vais vous poser une question, mais ce n'est pas l'une des plus grandes importances. Ma question est sur les véhicules comme à deux roues, vélo, trottinette électrique, vélo électrique et tout ça. On n'a pas le droit de rentrer dans les malls, dans les bibliothèques avec et tout ça. Et surtout, le problème de les laisser dehors, c'est que on est dans un pays où il pleut beaucoup et qu'il y a beaucoup de neige et de pluie et de tout ça. Et aussi, c'est très facile de se faire voler un scooter électrique, un vélo électrique et tout ça. Et c'est pas des choses à petit budget. Alors, ma question, c'est est-ce que vous pouvez, s'il vous plaît, mettre des endroits pour ranger les scooters et vélos électriques à l'intérieur par exemple, Cavendish, à l'intérieur du centre d'achat, mettre un endroit pour placer les véhicules, mais trottinettes, vélos électriques et tous ces jouets, si vous voulez, à l'intérieur ou à l'abri. Merci.
Oui, merci beaucoup. On a pas, c'est pas notre domaine de décider qu'est-ce qu'on va faire avec le centre d'achat, mais on peut regarder ce qu'on peut faire avec nos immeubles, comme ici. Je sais, moi, j'utilise un vélo électrique. J'ai utilisé moi-même aujourd'hui. J'étais allé au centre aquatique et il y a une place où on peut l'attacher le véhicule il y avait une couverte. Moi, je mettrai le véhicule le plus loin près de l'immeuble parce qu'il y avait une bonne couverte s'il pleut. Et aussi, il y a des places pour l'attacher avec votre serrure. OK. Mais on peut regarder qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire dans les autres endroits. On a des places où il y a des couvertures comme au centre aquatique. Et peut-être on peut mettre des places pour mettre les véhicules les vélos plus proches de l'immeuble dans les endroits qui sont couverts ou on peut trouver des autres places où on peut mettre des places couvertes. Parce que de mettre dans l'immeuble, c'est pas facile de mettre dans la bibliothèque ou dans l'entrance, mais à l'extérieur, vous pouvez l'attacher dans une place où il y avait une couverture.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup pour votre question et pour venir ce soir.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Okay. All right, so I think the questions have been asked and answered. So now we'll go to the first item on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes. Councillor Azarad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of May 12th, 2025 at 8 p.m. and the minutes of the special meeting on May 26, 2025 at 5 p.m. be and hereby approved as submitted.
Moved by Councillor Azarad, seconded by Councillor Schuster. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we go to, so those were both minutes you moved? Minutes, the 2 minutes? Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to go any business arising. So then departmental reports, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The departmental reports for May 2025 be and are hereby approved as drafted.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion? Who wants to go first? Councillor Schuster.
I think I'm gonna cut and slice my report. I wanted to mention in May, we've had some seasonal trainings with our lifeguard preseason training. We had 85 members of the aquatic team that have been attending a 20-hour aquatic emergency course to prepare for the summer season. Similarly, day camp underwent their pre-camp staff training starting on March 18th with park leaders and counselors. I spoke to the team just this weekend. They're a very keen bunch, and the majority of them are Côte Saint-Luc residents. Summer programming, let's see. Registration for summer programming began on June 4th and continues. Also, the Summer in the City brochure went out a couple weeks ago. It's a combined effort between Recreation and the library for great events throughout the summer, most of which I believe are free. In our local arts scene, the mayor already mentioned the Wizard of Oz that continues until June 15th. And shortly after that, there's the CSLDS inaugural Yiddish production by an offshoot called the Volksspieltheater, and they're performing Lieder und Gelächter, Songs and Laughter, which will run June 26th to 29th for 5 performances. It's a hilarious and nostalgic Yiddish review, and we're excited to have that kind of Yiddish culture in Côte Saint-Luc. Also of note, CSLDS alumnus Brandon Schwartz won a Tony Award last night as co-producer for Best Musical called Almost Happy Ending. So we export our CSLDS stars to important Tony Award, yeah. So that was very exciting to see. Ongoing events and upcoming, so I'll just go through these rather quickly. June 7th is the seasonal opening of the Parkhaven Pool. June 13th and 14th is the Lac St. Louis Regional Swim Finals at the ACC. June 20th, the pedal boat operations begin. June 21st is Indigenous Peoples Day at Parkhaven Pool. June 23rd, day camp and summer fun in Fletcher Park both begin. June 24th, splash into Fête Nationale at the Parkhaven Pool. July 1st is our biggest event of the year. It's our Canada Day celebrations at Trudeau Park. And yeah, so those are all the exciting things. There's a lot going on in Côte Saint-Luc spring and summer. So record time.
Thank you, Councillor Schuster. Who's next? Okay, Council, we'll start left to right. Councillor Cohn.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. First off, you can go to my podcast, mikecohen.ca. It's my latest podcast is with Bailey Cohen-Krzyzewski of the Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society, one of my constituents. Mayor Brownstein.
You must love the Dramatic Society, Councillor Cohen.
You should listen to the podcast. It's a very positive podcast about Bailey Cohen-Krzyzewski, who's got a really interesting backstory. So yes, that's my first podcast on the Dramatic Society, and there'll be an Instagram to follow. So you too should be smiling. And by the way, you are both mentioned in the podcast. So there you go. The Côte Saint-Luc Slow Pitch Association was a league that was in Côte Saint-Luc for about 50 years. I was among the players, but Roy Solomon, who's in his late 80s, was one of the originals, and he asked me if I'd help him organize a reunion. So hopefully the weather will cooperate on Sunday morning, the 22nd of June, so in about 2 weeks. Some of the former players, some people in their 80s, some people in their 60s and 70s and 50s will be at the park. Some will talk, some will throw the ball, some will hit the ball. And Côte Saint-Luc Slow Pitch League was a very, very special league in its day. Used to draw people from the community, would just go and watch the games. It was very competitive. And the interesting thing is a lot of these people are coming back to that park, having not seen it in decades. So I hope Councillor Krzyzewski, whose Uncle Sammy was, I think, one of the players there. It'll be interesting to see their reaction to Diamond Number 1, to the new chalet, and so on and so forth. So I'm happy to be doing that. Sir Walter Scott, I want to thank City Manager Schechter and Charles Senecal for being on top of it. But we have a travesty of justice going on with the owner of the two lots on Sir Walter Scott, kind of a continuation of the townhouses on Ilan Ramon. It's unfortunate that he paid his taxes. I was hoping he wouldn't pay his taxes and we would have sold the land, because he just keeps that land, the beautiful land, like a dump. He's got a dumpster there. He's got hazardous, dangerous building materials. We had our city inspector go in, and we had we take legal action, and we got the grass cut. We'll see if he cuts it again next month. There's a for sale sign you can barely see because it's usually covered by grass. And I just hope somebody buys it, because we're now waiting, right, Director Schechter, City Manager Schechter, we're waiting now for the court to rule that we can take his dumpster out of there and his building materials and bill him for it. So I'm hoping there'll be some action, but it's really a shame. People living in these beautiful homes have to look at that eyesore. You could read my vent on my blog at mikecohen.ca. I have to look at that when I drive. I'm also just showing you this amazing book that I read last fall, Marc Garneau, A Most Extraordinary Ride. And Marc Garneau, of course, was a guest speaker for the library last winter. I went there with my mom. My mom just idolized Marc Garneau. She got to meet him. She couldn't believe how nice he was. And we had a packed house. And that's the last time I saw Marc Garneau. I was absolutely shocked to learn of his passing, only at the age of a young 76. And it's a real loss. We should feel very, very fortunate that we have his book at the library and that we had him grace our presence. And for anyone who hasn't read the book, it's a fascinating read. And I know that our Member of Parliament, Anthony Housefather, worked very closely with Marc Garneau. So our sympathies go out to his family. And I think we've already covered the golf, so thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Yes, a condolence has been sent out, is being sent out on behalf of the mayor and council too, for the passing of Marc Garneau. He was an exceptional man, who one of the few who went to the moon and then served the community. Just on a perspective that I guess only he could have about what we could do better on this planet. He did a lot. Very sad. So who was next? Councilman Isri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. J'aimerais juste mentionner encore une fois là par rapport aux travaux publics que nos équipes vraiment sont occupées à tout ce qui est installation. Vous pouvez voir un petit peu l'embellissement de la ville avec la plantation au niveau des plantes, toutes les installations de pots de fleurs, les équipes qui sont déjà à l'extérieur, qui s'adonnent à nos équipes d'asphalte, nos équipes vraiment dans les parcs pour préparer la saison d'été, et aussi toutes les réparations qu'on a à faire. On parlait tout à l'heure de gazon qui a été endommagé. Je peux vous dire qu'il y a déjà 143 maisons à date dont le gazon a été réparé. Le dernier point que j'aimerais mentionner, c'est concernant, we just have a new program, for the compost bins. We just received 1,000 new compost bins that will be available for residents, will be for the townhouses for now. And I hope that we'll be able, to increase in the future, but we try, we find like a nice size that people can use, and we want to encourage people, to continue to do more and more compost. So thanks to all the team in Public Works, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Isri. Councilor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start on the finance side. So the audit is complete. The mayor will be reading the report in terms of the basically where we're at as of December 31st, 2024. I'll just mention briefly, the city finished the year with a surplus of about $8,350,000. The vast majority of that was thanks to the transfer duties or welcome tax 2024 was probably our best year ever, coming off the previous year, 2023, which was one of, I don't know if I'd say one of our, not necessarily our worst, but certainly our worst in the last 5-10 years. So it's, interesting to see. For this year, I'll just mention we're at about 1 million so far to the middle of May, but the peak season hasn't happened yet, which usually comes in June, July, and August. But anyway, all that to say, the finances of the city are good, and by creating a surplus, it helps us reduce the amount of money we have to borrow, allows us to do work, let's say capital projects, and save on the interest. Also on the finance side, we've given out 41 rebates for filters, for water filters. These are ones that remove the lead that may be in the service line. So again, for residents who live in homes that have a service line that may contain lead, we encourage you to use a filter. I use one myself as well. We also have only 2 so far, but we're hoping to get more. This was the idea, I believe, of Councillor Kajavsky in terms of reusable diapers and menstrual products. So for residents who are interested, there is a rebate for these. I'll switch to VCOP. So we have 2 of our VCOP volunteers, Susie and Harvey, thank you. So the VCOPs had 190 hours of patrol, which in total was 415 sort of people hours, and they traveled 2,333 kilometers, and were there to help supervise and keep an eye on 15 special events. And as the mayor mentioned earlier, we're always looking for new volunteers to keep an eye on the city, to keep an eye on our facilities, our schools, our synagogues, and other organizations. On the environment side, we had our compost giveaway on May 29th. We gave out 274 compost bags. We also gave out 200 tomato plants and 74 trees. So again, encouraging residents to use the compost. And I'll mention, I had a chance last week to visit the compost treatment site in Saint Laurent. I could probably talk for about a half hour on this, but I'll keep it short. I know it was an exciting visit, but I'll just share. It's if you recall, we passed a resolution about this earlier a few months ago. Since then, I've spoken to a few representatives of Montreal. I'm happy to say they seem to have fixed quite a few things. There's still logistical issues. What I foresee, I guess the biggest one is they're able to accommodate the quantity of compost right now, but at some point it's going to reach the capacity of the site. So that's something I brought up. They are actually thinking of, right now there's basically 2 sites, so they're thinking of a 3rd, possibly a 4th site, so that is good that there is some forward thinking. I'm happy to say they have a visitor center, so you can, the public can go see it, and in there they recognized Côte Saint-Luc among a few cities that were the pioneers in the organic waste collection program going back to 2008. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that they mentioned us on their walls. So anyway, anyone who's interested, I urge you to go visit the site. It's just kind of off Henri Bourassa, near the Highway 13. So you can look into it. And the last one, on a separate note, for District 4, I'll mention Fletcher Park. The bathroom is finally open and accessible. This is something that was several years in the making. Fletcher Park is probably the most used park per, let's say, square foot or square meter in the city of Côte Saint-Luc. So it took some time in terms of electrical issues, and there's still 1 or 2 electrical things that need to be updated. But the bathroom is there, it's working, and it'll be usable throughout the summer for the residents of the district. Thank you.
Okay. Next, Councillor Burke.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bonsoir. So I just wanted to report that on June 18th, we will be hosting a conference on seniors and community. And if you're a senior in Côte Saint-Luc or someone who cares about aging well in community, join us for a special seniors conference Wednesday, June 18th, 3 p.m., City Hall. Refreshments will be served, and there will be 3 short speakers. Speakers by like short presentations. I'm going to give the introduction with regard to how the whole thing started from the Smart City Challenge going back to 2019. And then we will have the researcher from the Université de Sherbrooke. Actually, she works at the Université de Montréal. Natalie Beer will present the objectives of the Côte Saint-Luc Living Lab project. And Tanya Abramovich, our Associate City Manager, will present the Age-Friendly Municipalities Program, which is called MATA. And we are aspiring to be part of it because we want to be an age-friendly community. And after that, we're going to have some workshops and have some discussion about issues that are facing seniors. So I invite everyone to attend. This is the flyer, and you can register at cotesaintluc.org conference. Thank you very much, and that's my report. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, so the only thing I wanted to add is that on Thursday, this Thursday, June the 12th at 4:30 p.m., there'll be a flag raising for the Filipino Heritage Month in front of City Hall in Ashkelon Gardens. Everybody is welcome. We have a good relationship, a very close relationship with the Filipino community. We're very proud of the Filipinos that live in Côte Saint-Luc and have a good relationship with those here and those outside our community. Everybody is welcome. Whether you're a Filipino or not, please do participate. They're a great community and wonderful to have in Côte Saint-Luc. Anything else? If not, we will go to the vote. Oh, one more. Go, Councilor Sabat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just before I start the department report, just a couple of words on your video and some of the words that were said at the end. And with respect, obviously, to you and to Councillor Early, I think the VCOP initiative is a great one. We absolutely need more younger VCOP volunteers. And when I represented VCOP, I tried to get that initiative done, but I was faced with a lot of headwind. So I hope that we can take off some of the red tape, we can take off some of the old rules, and see much more social media-oriented recruitment efforts with proper content, and more importantly, cutting through some of the red tape. And that's what I'll say about that. But it is an important initiative. I do agree for the future of this program and the safety of our city. In terms of the actual report, give me 1 second. So we had a pretty busy month at EMS and public safety. First of all, a lot of ongoing training and continuing education, both on the EMS and on the PS side. We also recognized, and that was mentioned at the beginning of the council meeting, that we did recognize public safety agent Godin. She is the one that found the car and the individuals involved in the TBDJ, I believe. No, sorry, Biba incident. We also recognized PS agent Labataglia, who has intercepted a couple of folks trying to steal Amazon packages from people's doors. So that was nice, and and arrests were made around that. So kudos to these agents that do such a great job. 1,300 people called dispatch, and we've responded with 100% coverage of our volunteers at EMS, with close to 315 calls to residents, totaling 2,070 hours of volunteer work. We did celebrate this accomplishment during EMS week. We had quite a festive barbecue for EMS, but unfortunately there was a lot of rain that day, so this was still attended by 50 people who were honored for all their volunteer work throughout the year. Speaking of volunteer work, Julien Dravigné, 13 years with the LMS, Eddie Afram, 12 years, and then Atik Sidik, Kia Saint-Pierre, myself, 4 years at EMS, and then Nick Ndulis and Matthew Lieberman, respectively 4 years and 3 years. So thank you all for that huge accomplishment, and that's it for me.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so then it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of departmental reports? They are carried. And then we go to the next item. Financial Services, 7A, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of May 1st, 2025 to May 31st, 2025 for a total amount of $7,001,312.05 in Canadian funds, and that Treasurer's Certificate number 25-0067 dated May 1st, 2025 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
So I'll just mention briefly, so this is a little, slightly more than the average disbursement. Some of the highlights, we had payment for restoration to damage that was done at the recreation. We had some water infiltration, some fees for LED lights. For those who may have noticed, the city in-house is replacing our LED lights. The goal, I think, this year is to do about 100. So I noticed on Mackle, for example, near the Aquatic Center. So they're producing more light and are energy efficient. We had payments for CMO for our water contract, a few bond repayments, and some holdback payments from the road work from last summer. So those were the key highlights. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Carried unanimously. And then we go to the next item, which is the mayor's report on the financial report and the external auditor's report of December 31st, 2024. So before we move the resolution, I read it? Or do we move it? Move it.
Maybe
Move the resolution.
we'll do the resolution first, that way we don't forget.
Yeah,
And we'll...
move the resolution, then I'll read it.
Okay, so I'll move the resolution. Be it resolved that in accordance with the law, the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby authorizes and orders the publication of the text of the mayor's report on the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2024 of the city of Côte Saint-Luc to be distributed to each civic address in the municipality.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion? I'll read the report. And then you can have more discussion if you have. Very good. Okay, in conformity with Section 105.2.2 of the City and Towns Act, I am pleased to present the highlights of the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2024. The financial results in this report are a summary of the official financial statements of the City of Côte Saint-Luc, audited by Deloitte SENCRL. Although this report has important information, I invite you to view the detailed Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing financial statements posted on the city's website. Highlights. In 2024, operating revenues increased by $11.6 million. Operating expenses increased by $1.3 million. Capital repayments increased by $389,000. And appropriations from reserves increased by $1.9 million compared to 2023. The agglomeration apportionment increased to $35.2 million in 2024 versus $34 million in 2023. The city ended the year with a surplus of $8.35 million, derived mainly from revenues generated by record-breaking transfer duties, welcome tax, revenues, interest revenues on investments, and government grants and subsidies. The major variances for 2024 actual versus budget are the following. Revenues, number one, increase in transfer duties of revenue of $6.4 million. 2, increase in revenue from permits, $209,000. 3, Increase in interest income due to higher interest rates, $607,000. Increase in government grants, $947,600 and other revenues, $181,600. Expenses, number one, savings in snow removal operations due to mild winter, January to April, $709,100. Savings related to maintenance and repairs of the water network due to a transfer to the capital budget, $141,600. Savings in employers' contributions, fringe benefits, $399,400. Additional costs in recycling contract costs due to new program with EEQ, $283,600. And transfer from the operating budget to cover various capital projects, $31,900. The city's unrestricted operating surplus is $20 million at December 31st, 2024, compared to $12.3 million at December 31st, 2023. The council approved $1,074,100 in the 2025 capital investment budget for upgrades to various parks and planting of trees. In addition, the city has a restricted surplus of $3.5 million at December 31st, 2024. The restricted surplus includes the balance of the MAM grant, $1.47 million, reserve funds for various capital projects, $1.62 million, and legal purposes, $400,000. The city invested $7.7 million in capital expenditures in 2024. The expenditures were financed by internal transfers from the operating budget, $626,600, restricted surplus and reserve funds, $951,800, and long-term debt, $6.5 million. Most of the long-term debt issued in 2024 covered expenditures incurred in previous years. The city borrowed $6.5 million of new long-term debt and reimbursed an equal amount in capital repayments in 2024. The local portion of the long-term debt is $51 million. The city received a qualified opinion from Deloitte concerning the financial statements, which were tabled by the treasurer to council on May, I guess it would be today though, no? June 9th, 2025? Oh, so when was it? So what, May, what, we should put in the amount, the date. The special meeting was May 26th? Okay. May 26th, 2025. The qualified opinion is related to the new accounting standard, PS 3280, asset retirement obligations that came into effect in 2023 for the municipal sector. Although the city has made significant progress in meeting its obligations, similar to most municipalities in the country, we have not completed the exercise and cannot attest to the potential future liabilities for all of the city's assets. The auditor's report indicates that the financial statements in all material respects present a true and fair view of the financial situation of the city as of December 31st, 2024. Please find below the statements of operations and financial position for the year ended 2024, and there's the details that I don't read out, but anybody can have access to it and will be mailed to every home. I think that's it. I think that is it. Conclusion. On an annual basis, City Council and administration focus on creating a fair and responsible budget and in monitoring revenues and expenses throughout the year. I am very pleased that the city continues to be in very good financial health and assure you that we will do everything possible to maintain the same excellent level of service and high quality standards in the future. Okay. So anybody else have any other comments before we go to the vote? Stephen, you have anything else to add? No?
Just maybe, I don't, he's probably watching at home. Just want to say a thank you to our treasurer, Angelo Marino, to the entire finance team for everything they do, of course, to make sure we're managing the budget. I want to thank our city manager, Jonathan Schechter. It's, you know, I hear stories of other cities, which I won't mention, but I'm happy that in Côte Saint-Luc, we're able to manage the funds well. and do, a very good job of finding that balance in terms of making sure we're maintaining the services and the high quality that residents expect, but at the same time, to be frugal at the same time and not spend unnecessarily. So just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Yes, and I want to reiterate that we're only as good as our directors and our upper management team, and Angela Marino is a gem, as is our upper management team. Thank you. Maître Schechter, and that's what makes the city a great city. We are the elected officials and we make policy, but to make sure the city operates well, it's up to the directors team to ensure that we do that. And thankfully, they're brilliant and have been here for many, many, many years and know what they're doing. So let them continue to stay and keep up your great work, especially all of them. Anyway, it is what it is. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Okay, the next one is
So the mayor's
Eight.
report will be distributed to every civic
every
address.
person's house. Yeah, now we go to 8. Yeah, okay.
Correct.
7C was deferred, so we're going to 8A, or it's
Actually
removed.
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 Yeah.
Removed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Benizri, 8A.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc gratifie l'embauche de 4 préposés aux travaux généraux, temps plein auxiliaire col bleu, comme suit. Yveline Ivanov, effective à partir du 5 mai 2025. Rodion Movila, effective à partir du 12 mai 2025. Daniel Bonchève, effective à partir du 20 mai 2025. Jerry Révolu, effective à partir du 2 juin 2025. Que le certificat du trésorier numéro 25-0078, daté du 3 juin 2025, a été émis par le trésorier de la ville, attestant la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites ci-dessus.
Proposé par le conseiller Benizri et appuyé par le conseiller Erdely. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? No? Okay. Tout le monde en faveur? Okay. Passes unanimously. And then we go to 8B, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of the white-collar auxiliary employees whose names are listed on the document titled Auxiliary Employees White Collars Hiring, dated June 2nd, 2025, and that said employees' terms of employment will be as per the conditions of the collective agreement. A Treasurer's Certificate number 25-0079, dated June 3rd, 2025, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
Just a comment that this includes seasonal staff.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And we move to item 9, Legal Services. Councillor Burku.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved, I'm going to read the resolution, just a second. Attendu qu'une conférence de règlement à l'amiable a eu lieu entre les parties devant la Cour du Québec, Chambre civile, dans le cadre du dossier numéro 522-3401-241. Attendu que le CRA entre les parties a abouti une entente de règlement pour un projet de règlement hors de cours. Attendu que les services juridiques de la Ville de Côte Saint-Luc recommandent d'accepter cette entente, il est résolu que le conseil municipal de la Ville de Côte Saint-Luc approuve par la présente l'entente de règlement et que le conseil autorise la greffière de signer tous les documents nécessaires afin de formaliser l'entente au nom de la Ville.
Proposé par le conseiller Burku et appuyé par le conseiller Sabag. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
Yeah, so this was a claim by a resident with regard to some damages caused to his property pursuant to his, interfacing with the city with regard to drain problems that he was having, or I think he was actually, he wanted to rebuild his driveway. Anyway, so the damage claim was settled, and this is the giving our ratification to the settlement agreement.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously, and we move to recreation. No, we move to public security, public safety. Councillor Lee, notice of motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hereby give notice of motion, the draft bylaw number 2470-5 to be entitled Bylaw 2470-5, amending Bylaw 2470 to regulate nuisance, will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. And furthermore, I'll be mentioning the object and scope of the draft bylaw as well.
Thank you, Councillor Lee.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just mention briefly. So this is a bylaw that will be presented shortly related to nuisance from a proliferation of bird feeders. I hate to share, it's a situation that's happening in my district where there's a resident that has multiple bird feeders. They're not only attracting birds, but it's attracting raccoons, it's attracting squirrels, it's attracting other wildlife, and it's become a nuisance for the neighbors and the neighborhood. After speaking to Director Chateauvert, the discussion was that we need an amendment or an update to our bylaw to deal with this, so I'll be presenting that at a later meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. So that's great. Now we go to recreation, 11A, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approves the grant agreement with the Department of Heritage, Government of Canada, under the Celebrate Canada program for the implementation of the Canada Day, Saint Jean-Baptiste, and Indigenous Day events. That Council requests the authorization of the Government of Quebec to enter into this agreement. That Cornelia Ziga, Director of Recreation, be authorized to sign this grant agreement.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
Self-explanatory.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Then we go to 11B, Councillor Sabag.
Je vais le faire en français, parce que j'ai la page en français. Que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc autorise par la présence des employés du département des loisirs et des parcs suivant à signer les formulaires de demande de vérification des empêchements de personnes appelées à œuvrer auprès des personnes vulnérables. Cornelia Ziga, Eden Berger, Michael Calcott, Anissa Cameron, Sarah Houle, Tricia McKenzie, Donna Morrison et Ryan Nemiroff.
OK. So, proposé par le conseiller Sabag, appuyé par le conseiller Schuster. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Anybody want to discuss? It's clear?
Puis on autorise Madame Ziga de signer l'entente, j'imagine?
Yep.
Oui, OK. Donc pour la greffière, elle va le noter. Madame Ziga est autorisée à signer l'entente.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? Was it also a motion? No, it's an authorization.
No.
All in favor? All in favor? Yeah, it's not all in favor. That's what it seems like. Seems like it's that. Okay, and now we go to item number C, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hereby give notice of motion to bylaw 2654 to be entitled Bylaw 2654, creating the fee schedule for culture, sports, and leisure activities for autumn 2025 to winter 2026. I further table the draft bylaw 2654 entitled Bylaw 2654, creating the fee schedule for culture, sports, and leisure activities from the fall of 2025 to the winter of 2026.
Okay, moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajewski. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, this is a notice of motion and this one's a notice of motion and a draft bylaw done by. There you go. It's only Andy Schuster, Councillor Andy Schuster, all by herself. Now we go on to item 12, Councillor Kajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby awards a contract to Kojalac Inc. for the resurfacing of streets in accordance with the terms of tender number C-04-25C for a total amount of $4,076,111 plus applicable taxes, that the city may consider an amount of $200,000 plus applicable taxes for any potential contingencies and extras, if required. That shall first be approved according to the city's procedures, that the described expenses shall be financed from the loan bylaws number 2645, 2582, and 2621, that Treasurer Certificate number 25-0077 dated May 22nd, 2025, has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses, that the Director of Urban Development is hereby appointed to proceed with the evaluation of Cogelec Inc.'s performance within this contract.
Okay. Moved by Councilor Kajowski and seconded by Councilor Azarad. Any discussion?
Yes, this is the road reconstruction awarding of the contract for this year. We'll be doing approximately 1 kilometer of roads this year, give or take. I believe 4 different roads. Councilor Erdely will correct me if I'm wrong. A little stretch of Fleet, Wolseley in District 5, so Wolseley between Wavell and Guelph. Where am I? Councilor Erdely, feel free to chime in. It's right, Borden.
A section of Wolseley, and if Director Levine can maybe put on the screen. So it's a section of Wolseley between Guelph and Wavell. It's a section of Wavell between Melling and Parkhaven. It's Fleet, sort of from Cavendish to Pinedale, and Borden from Fleet to Bailey. You see on the map behind you, they're color-coded in blue.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, and the price is pretty much in line with what we paid per linear meter, per kilometer for the past 4 years or so. The price has been pretty consistent, so right on budget, and I believe those projects will be starting imminently. Thanks, Matt.
Okay. All right. So now we move on to the next one. Councilor Kajowski.
No, I'm doing B. Oh, we have to vote on A, right?
Oh, moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we go to B.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby approves and ratifies the change orders for additional work required under project number C-18-21C for contractor services related to the refurbishing of the Edward J. Kerwin Park and construction of a chalet in the amount of $306,193.63 plus applicable taxes, and the credit for items removed from the contract in the amount of $228,835.58 plus applicable taxes, that the City Council hereby authorizes payment of an additional amount not to exceed $77,358.05 plus applicable taxes to Les Entreprises Ventec, that the above-mentioned amount shall be financed... Recording in progress. That the above-mentioned amount shall be financed from the contingency approved when the contract was awarded.
Okay. Moved by Councilor Kajowski. Seconded by Councilor Schuster. Any discussion?
Yes, this is just a little, very, very minimal amount of extras for Kerwin Park. We have it on good authority from the engineering department. This is an extremely small relative amount with projects of this size, I should say. So to have only $77,000 of extras for a project that was over $8 million is very good and favorable. It speaks well to the project management of the engineering department.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we go to C.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Groupe Civitas Inc. for professional services regarding the elaboration of an intervention plan for Tech 2024 to 2028 for a total amount of $47,750 plus applicable taxes, that the city may consider an amount of 10% plus applicable taxes, so typo, plus applicable taxes for any potential contingencies and extras if required, that shall first be approved according to the city's procedures, that the described expenses shall be financed from project number TECQ 2024-01, that treasurer certificate number TC25-0081 dated June 3rd, 2025, has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses, that the director of urban development is hereby appointed to proceed with the evaluation of Group Civitas Inc.'s performance within this tender contract.
Okay, so that's moved by Councillor Kujawski and seconded by Councillor Erdl. And discussion.
Councillor Early wants to comment after. This is just the first part of our next tech grant. If you want to speak further to it?
Yeah, I'll just mention briefly. So we're going to get, the city will get about $11 million over the next few years from the provincial and federal government. But in order to get the money, we have to do this intervention plan, which has to be approved. It adds a bit of paperwork, but the goal is to get this done as quickly as possible so we can get the funding and work on those projects. And I'll just mention, in order to get the funding, the city has to do roughly an equivalent amount of work on our own. So, in other words, to get the $11 million from the federal and provincial government, we have to spend about $11 million ourselves. So that's how the grant works.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And then we go to urban development, next part, which is the urban planning division, starting with the different sites. We put up pictures. Pictures going up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing modifications to the siding of rooftop structures on the existing multifamily dwelling on lot 1565025 and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of May 13th, 2025. Be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw number 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kujawski, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
Yeah, so this is just the modification of the siding on the rooftop kind of roof entranceway, I want to call it, or utility structure on the roof of the building at 6565 Collins. So, yeah, we had a discussion and we approved of the color of the work.
Okay. Moved and seconded, all in favor? No one's opposed. We carried unanimously. We go to Wentworth, 5765.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing modifications made during construction of a rear extension, including modifications to the front facade at the existing semi-detached single-family dwelling on lot 1052155 and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of April 8th, 2025, be approved as built and according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kujawski, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Okay, any discussion?
I want to point out something for future reference. If you look at the front facade and if you look at the back facade, I believe, you'll see that this is a project of a second-story extension which does not come near the mitoyen wall, right? It's set back from the mitoyen wall. Just want to point that out for future reference. And I think you heard tonight some concerns about, extending rear extensions up against the mitoyen wall. So this is an example where you can have an extension on a semi-detached, but does not affect directly the neighbor. Thank you.
Yeah, no further discussion.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we go to the next one, which is 5527 West 4.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will, after the fact, wave my finger at 5765-1. There was work changes to the plan following the approval, so don't change your plans, please. And if you want to modify your home in any way, call the city. 5527 Westbourne. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing modifications made during construction of a rear extension, including modifications to the front facade of the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1560644, and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of December 10th, 2024, be approved as built and according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc. Oh no, that's Randall. My apologies. Actually, we'll change the order. I did Randall
We're doing
first. I
Randall
apologize.
first? Okay, so we're doing Randall.
Yeah,
We're doing
Randall.
Randall.
I jumped
You
ahead.
did Randall. That's okay.
Randall, we'll go back and do Westbourne right after. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so this is just the approval of the modifications made to the front and rear siding, if I remember correctly. Speak to it all, Mr. Burku, or?
Go ahead.
I second the motion.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well said. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go back to Westport. Such an active district. It's all right.
There it is. Okay. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing front facade modifications to the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1561765 and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of May 13th, 2025 be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Kajafki and seconded by Councilor Benizri. Any discussion?
Similar to the previous, it's just a
okay.
modification of the color of the front siding above the living room window.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to Merton.
Merton, one moment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a partial second-story addition to the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1560754 and prepared by RIUM Architecture for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of May 13th, 2025, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Kajafki, seconded by Councilor Burku.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilor Burku.
Thank you. So, as you can
Move.
see on the screen, this is a very nice extension. And it's a front and secondary, second story extension. I just want to point out in reference to the comments that we had tonight from the residents on Randall, that this particular project, because of its designation, I don't think there were any minor exemptions required. And so even though there is a sign in front of that property, if a neighbor or myself would, like any resident of the neighborhood would have passed by and said, oh, it's a beautiful sign. I'd like to see what the project is going to be. According to our existing policy right now, they would not be able to see the perspective. Okay, so I see the look on your face, Councillor Schuster, right. And this is exactly my shock and surprise. So I just want to point this out, and from now on, I'm going to be pointing out every single time that we have these kinds of projects where obviously if we put up a sign in front of a property, we want the neighbors to know about it, and if they come to the counter and they're told, no, we cannot show you the perspective until it's presented at the council meeting, then that is clearly too late, because that's what I'm always asking. Have you put up a sign? Thinking that by putting up a sign, any resident could come to City Hall and get at least the perspective of what's being proposed. And in this case, it's a very lovely proposal, but I just want to point that out so that we find a way to correct this. That's what I think. So this is a policy that's now being applied, but we'll see how we can, sort of modify it going forward. So I do approve of this project. I think it's lovely, and I would love to be able to share this with the residents. Maybe we could ask now we could sort of ask the city to put up another sign with the perspective saying this is what's going to be built on this site. We'll have to think about that. Thank you.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay. Carried unanimously, and now we go to next page. 5612 Davies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. By the way, I do agree, for the record, with everything Councilor Burkut just said. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing rear facade modifications to the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 105-2655 and prepared by WIHM, designed for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of May 13, 2025, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc. Second, Leora? Andy? Okay. Yeah, so this is, we're not on the minor exemption, we're on the site planning. So this is just modifications in the back of a patio door, a couple of windows, and a new deck behind 5612 Davies. There'll be a related minor exemption coming up on the agenda.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to the minor exemption of the same address.
Oh, speaking of which, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw number 2632, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5612 Davies, lot 105-2655, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the existing detached single-family dwelling built in 1955 under permit number 1955-00098 to maintain its current east lateral setback at a minimum of 1.90 meters instead of the minimum required lateral setback of 1.98 meters, and to maintain its current front setback at a minimum of 4.46 meters instead of the minimum required front setback of 4.57 meters. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217 Annex B, Zone RU 18, Article 441 and 442.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kajowski and seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion on this?
So that's an 8 centimeter and an 11 centimeter minor exemption.
Okay. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we go to Shalom. 5868, 5870 Shalom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw number 2632, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5868-5870 Shalom, lot 1562056, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow a pathway to be constructed in the east lateral yard with a minimum distance of 0 meters from the east lateral landline instead of the minimum required distance of 0.6 meters from any property line, and with a maximum width of 3.6 meters instead of the maximum permitted width of 1.2 meters. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, Article 442 and Article 445H.
Okay, so that has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
Yes, this is just the legalization of a call it a pathway on the side of the home. Shalom, it's not something we take lightly. This one is a little disruption to the neighbor on the side, and it's been there now for, I want to say, 11 years approximately.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go stance at the Aglo. Councillor Azarad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the council take the following stance in view of any agglomeration council meetings to be held in July 2025 as follows.
There's
The
no
au-
meetings in
To
July.
authorize the mayor or duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meetings to be held in July 2025
No meetings
based
in
on the
July.
information to be presented during those meetings.
At the Aglo, there's no meetings in July supposedly, just in case they have a meeting. Okay, so moved, seconded by Councilor Kudowski, all in favor? You never know, they could have a
No
meeting.
meetings in July.
Okay, that's great. Any other business? Yes, one more. There's a contract to Resiliate, Councilor Nisri.
Thank you, merci Monsieur le maire. Je vais lire les attendus. Attendu que la ville de Côte Saint-Luc a lancé un appel d'offres public portant le numéro C-02-23-28 pour des services de déneigement pour la catégorie 1, artère principale, la catégorie 2, artère secondaire et la catégorie 3, secteur tertiaire, pour une période initiale de 3 saisons hivernales, 2023-2024, 2024-2025 et 2025-2026, et 2 saisons hivernales optionnelles, 2026 à 2027 et 2027 à 2028, à la discrétion de la ville. Attendu que, par sa résolution numéro 230816 du 14 août 2023, le conseil municipal de la ville a octroyé 3 contrats de services de déneigement pour la catégorie 1, artère principale, la catégorie 2, artère secondaire et la catégorie 3, secteur tertiaire avec les entreprises Canbec incorporées pour la période initiale de 3 saisons hivernales, à savoir 2023-2024, 2024-2025 et 2025-2026. Attendu que les entreprises Canbec incorporées a fait défaut à de multiples reprises de remplir les termes, conditions ou obligations qui lui incombaient en vertu des contrats, et ce malgré les nombreux avis et rappels donnés et malgré la pénalité pour défauts mineurs et majeurs ayant été imposés par la ville durant la saison hivernale 2024-2025. Attendu qu'il est permis à la ville, suivant les termes du contrat, de résilier les contrats par cause. Il est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc résilie pour cause les 3 contrats de services de déneigement octroyés aux entreprises Canbec incorporées pour la saison hivernale 2025-2026, qu'une copie certifiée de la présente résolution soit transmise aux entreprises Canbec incorporées. Merci.
Proposé pour le conseiller Benizri, appuyé par le conseiller Kajowski. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions here? Are we having any discussion?
No.
So we do it. All in favor?
Yeah. we have them.
All in favor, all in favor. Thank you, no, carried unanimously. And that's it, so I call for adjournment. Second question period. Any questions? Sorry, any questions on the agenda? On the agenda only? No. Any questions online? No. All right, so
I move to adjourn.
moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Azarad. All in favor? All in favor of adjourning? Thank you very much. Have a great evening, and we'll see you in the Land of Oz.